Okay, we're rolling.
We are rolling.
We are rolling.
We are on.
I'm gonna light.
I'm gonna
light up over here.
Light them up because we're going down.
Oh, there we go. All right. Welcome everyone to What Lurks on Channel X. Yes.
Channel X, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What Lurks on Channel X?
Channel X, okay. Why not? Not to mention X, the Channel X. We can go for it. Why not? Sure.
You know?
All right.
Well, let's hope Rob Zombie doesn't sue us for this.
Well, he probably will.
Yeah, well. He needs the money. He's trying to make,
listen.
He needs to make a movie somehow.
At least he's paying attention, right? He's got to get his material from someplace.
So, as everybody may notice, Mario's not here this week. That's okay, though. In the meantime...
Oh, yeah, I should probably introduce myself, right?
By all means.
Just call me, I need to come up with some cool kind of podcast name, right?
If you really feel the need to.
No, we'll just call me Eric. We can call me Erik M. There we go.
Erik M.
This way they'll never find me.
Never know who you are.
They'll never know.
Never figure that one out.
Good luck finding that out.
I'll call you Emk.
Let's not. That's weird. And it sounds like something that you're hawking up.
Well, how really different is that?
No, we'll just stick with Eric. Eric is fine. You know, I'm sure all the ladies are all wet with anticipation. But
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they are.
I got that sexy radio voice. We'll go for it.
You do have a good voice for radio, I'll tell you that much. You got a face for it, too.
The face for it is perfect. And my face is awesome for radio. This is going to work out really well.
It's going to be great.
I'm going to skyrocket now.
It's going to be great. That's it. Our ratings are going through the roof. From this point forward.
Everybody's like, damn, isn't that
Got that
voice?
Erik M guy.
God damn.
I invited Eric here today to be part of this show specifically because I wanted someone who shares an age bracket with me, for number one. He actually has a pretty good memory.
Like an elephant.
Yeah.
I have an elephant memory.
And a skull.
Little bit. I'm working on that. I'm getting some surgery.
Yeah. And he also knows his pop culture pretty well.
I've been around.
Yes, he's been around.
I've seen a few things. I've read a few things.
That's good.
I'm a reader.
That's good to know.
I can read.
The theory we are discussing today is a theory called the Mandela Effect. Have you ever heard of this, Eric?
This is, what are we talking about, Nelson Mandela? What are we talking about?
It references him, yes.
Yes.
Straight from this with the website MandelaEffect.com. This is the hub for everybody who's talking about this.
The Mandela Effect, they go to this hub, this website to check out what's going on.
Yes. So the website is run by a woman named, possibly? I mean, Fiona Broom. I'm pretty sure it's a woman.
She sounds attractive.
Yes. And her synopsis. This website is for people interested in baffling but widespread alternate memories. It's the theory that there's some form of a alternate history going on here in our world. Alternate history, alternate memories. The main theory, the one that I kind of like the most, is that you believe in alternate dimensions at all?
Sure. The concept, it is a possibility. The universe is too vast to think that there's just this and that's it.
Something that we've discussed on the podcast plenty of times before is Back to the Future.
Okay. So it starts with Marty wakes up late, the alarm clock's going off.
Not that far back.
Okay.
It's a cool winter evening in Greece.
That's pretty... Wait. Okay. I think I was a little bit more ahead than you were, but okay. All right. Sure, we're in Greece. Okay.
No.
Goddamn Greeks. Gotcha.
Okay. Now, the website doesn't actually discuss Back to the Future, but it's a good parallel. The movie begins and you see Marty's family. Marty's family is low class or lower middle class. They are without much money.
They're eating graham crackers out of a bowl.
Yes, they're kind of stupid, and his father's a big pussy. Okay. Marty goes back in time with Doc Brown, changes whatever the fuck, and he comes back to his family, who his father is now a successful writer. They have money. The son is successful as well, no longer working in whatever supermarket juke joint he was working in. And the daughter, his sister, is also apparently now attractive, and people like her.
Although it looks the same.
Yes. The parents dress much nicer. The house looks nicer. Marty has the car that he always wanted in his life. And basically his life is now good.
Right. Those few tweaks at this pivotal time in his life have caused them to be from low self-esteem to higher self-esteem.
Yes.
And now he has a wonderful, perfect, picturesque 80s life.
And now Biff is their servant.
Right.
Instead of George McFly bowing to Biff.
Though not that unsuccessful with his own business.
Yeah.
So we did change, but even though He's a little bit of
pussy. He's the pussy now.
A pussy when it comes to Marty, but the rest of his life, he's obviously doing all right. I mean, he did have the truck with his name on it, so he didn't completely do a 180. Okay, but the tweaks did change the
his personality is definitely different. Yeah. He's a totally different person. So here's where the problem arises that this is what we've discussed before.
Okay.
Marty is coming back to a world that he does not belong in.
Correct.
He has different memories of his family, of his childhood. He has as you see, his entire family has different personalities, which means Marty should technically have a different personality. But he's the same person. How long do you think it's going to take before they realize this is not the Marty that they knew?
Well, it was the 80s. There was a lot of coke going on. But, honestly, it's something they should have picked up on fast.
It's a plot hole.
It is. It's a whopper of a plot hole.
Jennifer's also coming back to a new world.
And in the sequel is a completely different actress, just to fuck with you some more.
Yes. So maybe Jennifer did change that drastically. She's a different person.
She's a different human being. Yeah. She is now Elizabeth Shue.
So here's the thing now. Marty now has memories of the old family that he left.
Right.
And now he's with this new family who has an entirely different set of memories in life. The Mandela Effect, it's all about that. There are people who have different memories in this world than what actually seems to have occurred. Almost as if there was some form of alternate dimension that existed that combined with ours and changed our history. The very first example, the one that it's based upon, Nelson Mandela. Now, the reason why I didn't tell you a lot of this is because I want your
we want a fresh perspective,
answers,
and
yes.
this will definitely get it.
When did Nelson Mandela die?
Wait a minute, Nelson Mandela didn't die.
Huh?
Nelson Mandela didn't die. Not that I'm aware of. Did he die? Christ, did I miss that? No, Mandela's still alive.
Nelson Mandela died in 2013.
Fuck. I'm obviously a lot less educated than I thought, and I missed that one.
I actually have a different memory.
Okay.
This is where it's...
I apparently do.
As far as I can recall, Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s. Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I thought Nelson Mandela died growing up my whole life. Nelson Mandela's dead. He died in prison. And there are thousands of people who very distinctly recall Nelson Mandela dying in prison, even seeing memorials on TV and everything. And then he died again in 2013. And that's about the time where people started saying, wait a minute, isn't he already dead?
Right.
Could be simply people misremembered something. But that's something that's like, how do you remember someone that famous dying and seeing his funerals and memorials on TV and it never happened? Strange.
Okay, you're also talking about somebody that is historically relevant. Yes. Okay, the plot hole is simply for Back to the Future is simply forgotten simply because he's just a nobody in his little town.
Well, like I said, that was just a segue.
That's just a segue, but still, Nelson Mandela became somebody after he became out of prison. If he dies in prison, he's just another prisoner of war, so to speak, and he dies and nobody knows him. Yeah. Okay, so nobody would have any memory of him.
Exactly.
Okay, because he was one of the many people that were arrested, thrown in prison for their beliefs and their rights. When he came out, he became a spokesperson, ran for president, won, and did a lot of great things for his particular part of the world. And it was a large portion of the world, and it was public. Yep. So, again, you're talking about somebody that's huge, so that kind of memory... That's an impact on everybody. It's
a memory that you also share.
Right.
You remember that. Yeah. Now, you remember the whole time Nelson Mandela being alive and everything. I don't have any memories whatsoever of Nelson Mandela being alive through the 90s and the 2000s at all.
Right.
Never heard his name.
Never running for president.
I grew up most of my life knowing he's dead.
Morgan Freeman never played him in your life.
No.
Gotcha.
Morgan Freeman played Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, it was a soccer film. Yeah.
Never saw it.
Yeah, never even heard of it. That's right, because it
never even heard of it.
Never happened.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's where the theory goes, where there was multiple universes, and there still are. And let's say for the argument's sake that there is innumerable, infinite amounts of alternate universes out there, and each one has different, things.
Right.
Different memories, slightly different histories. The theory is that over time they start to converge. Something like Nelson Mandela dying now. That one universe where he died 25 years ago, no longer exists because he continued on. Until his death in 2013, there continued to be an alternate universe where he died earlier, and another alternate universe where he survived. Once he finally died, possibly permanently in all those universes, now they coalesce into one. And the dominant history takes over all of those universes. As a result of that, something we've seen in a lot of movies is eventually people forget those alternate memories and it all becomes one.
Right.
That's the theory behind the Mandela Effect. But some people still remember because nothing's perfect.
Right.
Another one. When did Shirley Temple die?
Oh, shit.
Just a guess.
Just a guess. It had to have been, let's say, the last 10 years.
I distinctly recall Shirley Temple died when she was a child. Very young death. And when I was young, I can't count how many times, because my mother's one of her favorite actresses when she was young, always saying, such a sin, what happened to that little girl?
Such a
sin, what happened to her? She died young.
Right.
Always known that my entire fucking life. She died 10, 12 years old, maybe a little older, approximately. She was young when she died. Apparently she died last year. She just died in 2014.
It's 2015, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, again, this topic has discussed the concept of ultimate dimensions. It's actually, there was a television show. There was a television show. I can't think of it. It wasn't, I want to call it, it's not, Sliders. That was it. Sliders was the concept where little tweaks, little differences here and there. The meteor goes by, doesn't hit the planet, and all of a sudden dinosaurs now are still ruling the Earth.
Yep.
They never died off. It's been done in comic books for years. DC's popular multiverse concept. Every 10 years or so, they reinvent themselves and they just forget what happened.
Everything changes.
Right now, all of a sudden, Superman's not wearing red underwear for the first time in his entire life, and nobody's really questioning that anymore.
Yeah.
It can, and then, eventually, the concept of everything converging, again, has also been done in literature and in, I'm not sure if I can think of any movies, but definitely literature where the concept of different dimensions sort of smash into each other and become one complete universe. It's an interesting concept. It's also, it's a writer's cheat for them to reinvent themselves easily. Okay, it's not working. Take a character like the Punisher. Okay, the Punisher fought in Vietnam. That worked great back in the 70s. Doesn't work too well in 2000 because the guy would be in his 70s.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of have to reinvent it. When you do stuff like that, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself with something so specific or something so monumental like a war or an actual historical thing that happened. It has to be something that's really kind of made up.
Yeah.
And I've to be honest, the idea of alternate dimensions is something that I can get behind. Like I said, the universe is too big. If Einstein went left instead of right, the world could be a different place. If, Hitler got an A on his art, maybe he would have concentrated on his art instead of being a mass murderer. And, it's just, sometimes we think pretty about it. Sometimes we think horrible about it. But, it's an interesting concept, but I think of it in a concept as like in a writing sense. Beyond that, there's nothing that we've seen here to show that there's an actuality to it. We haven't bumped into an alternate version of ourselves, which would be fun.
Yeah, that would be doppelgangers.
A doppelganger, yeah, that would be interesting to see an alternate like a version of myself with like a full head of hair, like your head of hair. That would be great. That would be great. Just a full head of hair of me. Like, what the fuck happened? In that alternate dimension that caused me to have this full head of hair.
Another one. Here's a big one. Billy Graham, alive or dead?
Billy Graham is alive. Did he die?
No, he didn't.
Oh, he's alive. He's alive. Okay. I got one right.
Yeah. Billy Graham is alive.
Okay.
But not according to others. Read this one directly. As Fiona Broom writes, many people, including me, remember Billy Graham's funeral on TV. My own memories place Graham's death close, within weeks, possible maybe a month or two at the most, to the time when Ted Kennedy died. I remember that the weather was warm in New England. At the time, I didn't think Billy Graham's funeral was especially odd. I didn't watch much of the funeral and burial coverage, but I can remember flipping through TV channels and seeing most networks carrying the event. I remember thinking at Ted Kennedy's funeral, wow, we just had lots of preempted Billy Graham's funeral. I guess that kind of coverage has become standard. I clearly remember the funeral and related TV coverage for several days. Apparently, this memory is prevalent, perhaps more prevalent than the Nelson Mandela ones. A lot of people don't actually remember the Nelson Mandela, but they remember this. I've actually argued with a friend because she was 100% certain that Billy Graham had died. She, too, remembered the funeral on TV. It took Wikipedia to prove that we both had odd, completely identical memories that never happened. Many readers have their own memories of Billy Graham's death, funeral, and burial. Mostly they recall the TV coverage, and like me, most are entirely certain they aren't mixing it up with Billy Graham's wife's funeral, which had some coverage on TV news shows. Ruth Graham died in 2007, Ted Kennedy passed in 2009, but that's not close enough for me to connect those memories. One user, Tamara Thorne, says, I don't have any recollections about Mandela, but I do have pretty clear memories of Billy Graham's death. Jonathan says, Billy Graham for a surety. I tested on my mother and asked, you remember Billy Graham dying, right? To which she replied, yeah, he died from Alzheimer's. When I informed her that he was still in fact alive, oh, well then he was in the hospital from it.
Okay.
Another one, I just last month had a discussion with a friend. I swore Billy Graham died, and I watched his funeral on TV, and so many people in tears and the sadness of such a great man being laid to rest and being honored by the presidents. I even remember Bill Clinton speaking words in his honor. My friend said I was crazy. I asked my mother, and she remembers us talking about his passing. I just don't know what to think.
Well, it's
a lot of people remembering this.
A lot of people remembering this, and again, we're talking about for us a false memory. This is a story. Mm-hmm. Okay. We can, let's relate it to our own events. Okay. Our big life event that we've witnessed, where for our grandparents, it was WWII. Yep. For our parents, they had JFK assassination. Mm-hmm. For us, we have 9/11. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now,
many people, according to this,
right,
they distinctly remember it happening on the 10th.
Okay. So we have an alternate reality in which where 9/11 happened on the 10th, the day earlier.
Yep.
Okay, and let's say it didn't happen at all. Let's say we find a universe where the two planes didn't go into those buildings and go crashing down, minus the lives that were lost in this tragic accident. Okay, how many lives have also been lost because of the war because of that? People used to say this. I remember this every time you talk about time travel with somebody, and again, we're talking about alternate universe because you're going to go back in time and change one thing.
Yep.
What are you going to change? And everybody always says, I'm going to kill Hitler.
Yeah.
Shoot him in the head. Going to shoot some art student in the head. That sounds sane. Mm-hmm. But that's, but again, what he becomes, I get it.
Yeah.
And we would say the same thing. Oh, if I could go back in time, I would go shoot Bin Laden in the head.
And I hear that a lot too. A lot of people say, what would you do? You'd kill Hitler.
Yeah.
Now think about this. Let's say somebody did go back in time and actually kill Hitler. How many things would not happen as a result of it?
There'd be a tremendous amount of things. I mean, American culture itself we were in a depression. Okay, we came back and we the middle class was developed after the World War II, and it's sent to do something for the soldiers that put their lives on the line, and the surviving soldiers. Something we haven't done today, but that's besides the point. Again, it's all theory. What would happen if we zigged instead of zagged? Mm-hmm. Okay, if we didn't go over there, if we didn't go over when we went to, the theory also that Pearl Harbor was allowed to have happened.
It was.
Okay,
I believe that wholeheartedly. In fact, when I was in high school, it was my senior year, we had a history class, and our history professor was one of those. He said, look, you're never going to use half this shit in your life, but you have to pass the history regents. Mm-hmm. So this entire class is going to be literally just what you're going to need for the history regents.
All preparation, yeah.
That's all it is. We're not going to learn anything else. Basically put a book on the table, and he said, you need to know this book cover to cover if you're going to pass this exam. We did one every single week. We did another 10 pages of it. Went from the book cover to cover. Great, awesome class. Now.
Honest, too.
Yes. He said, you guys are seniors. You don't give a shit. You want out of here, but you can't get out of here if you don't pass this goddamn
regents.
test.
That's it. Yeah,
you're not getting out. So he told us this story one day. He was a veteran. Every so often we divulged into some of his conspiratorial views. Mm-hmm. This one was, you've heard that Pearl Harbor, I just said it was allowed.
I've heard this theory.
Okay.
This is popular with that particular generation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The story of Pearl Harbor itself, I believe it was Winston Churchill who was in power, right?
Yeah.
It was Winston Churchill at the time. The American forces had cracked the Japanese code. Wind talkers, whatever the fuck.
That's the movie. That's the movie.
They cracked the Japanese code. I've never seen the movie, actually. But
John
I've never seen
Woo.
the Wind Talkers.
John Woo, yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen the Wind Talkers movie. The story that he told us was that we had cracked the Japanese code, and very similar to something that happened in World War I. Who was the British Prime Minister? Whomever was in charge in World War I.
World War I couldn't tell you. World War II,
Yeah.
I know the history because it was more relevant to American history.
Yeah.
Okay, but World War I do not remember who was in charge.
In World War I, whoever was in charge, I forget who it was, they had also cracked the secret code of their enemy. Mm-hmm. And they found out that their enemy they were going to attack this tactical, it was a small town of 2,000-3,000 people.
Right.
Okay? But it was a tactical advantage because of its location. Something like a canal on one side or whatever, and they could take this, they could have a stronghold inside the country. You couldn't get to them. Because air bombings was not as big as it was in World War II. Very, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was just in its infancy.
It was the earliest days, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It was fairly new technology.
Yeah, so being able to fly over and bomb the shit out of them really wasn't much of an option.
Right.
So this prime minister or whomever it was, might have been the general, not sure, whatever. They found out about this through the code, and his advisors told him, "Well, we have to evacuate the town." He said, "No, we can't do that," and he let everybody die. Well, fucked up. Truth is, had he done that, they would have known they cracked the code, and we'd have to spend the next 2 years trying to crack the new code. Same thing happened here. The American forces had cracked the Japanese code. They knew they were going to bomb Pearl Harbor, and they let it happen.
Okay.
From the story he told us was that, and again, I could be wrong. This was a long time ago. This story, I haven't even looked it up. There was a minimal amount of aircraft carriers destroyed at Pearl Harbor. It was like one or two of them. They had something like 15. Mm-hmm. All of them were sent out to sea a week earlier. On just some order in all different directions, sent out. Because those are, if we're going to have a war with Japan, you need an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So, in one of the largest naval bases we had, one of the largest American soil naval bases,
Right.
there was a minimal amount of aircraft carriers there, which seems strange. You know? A lot of soldiers had also been sent home on leave that day, that weekend. And there was plenty of people, plenty of soldiers killed. But it was just what they needed to operate the base. And these soldiers were considered expendable by the higher-ups.
Sure.
Because had we evacuated Pearl Harbor or even attacked in advance, they would have known we cracked the code, they would have changed the code, and we probably would have lost the war. But because we cracked the code, they didn't know it. We were always a step ahead of the Japanese. We always knew what they were going to do. We even knew what their allies were going to do because we could read their messages.
Right.
And that's the main thing. This is the first time I'd ever heard that theory of Pearl Harbor was allowed to.
Yeah, again, I heard the theory that it was allowed to happen, and again, the same argument is made about 9/11. Mm-hmm. And again, it's almost laughable with all the technology that America has, that a couple of guys in a cave were able to take us out so splendidly. And that concept is something that they've been able to create fear in the American people for, 15 years now? Uh-huh. Give or take. And we're still at war with a group that lives in caves. That's the part that kind of boggles my mind. We're able to take cameras and figure out what aftershave our neighbors are using.
Yeah.
And here's this concept of, these guys in a cave with lousy Wi-Fi are able to, collaborate and take down two major buildings of a major metropolis. The fact that we have to involve ourselves in everything that happens throughout the world.
Yes.
Now, World War II, with World War II, though, the after effect was we created a middle class.
Yeah.
We fixed the economy. People were living better. People were living happy. And they did so for a solid 50 years until things most recently in our lifetime have started to change.
I don't feel it's recent.
Well,
But that's...
we can take a look at the timeline and, again, we were doing well throughout the 80s. The 80s we thrived. Mm-hmm. We did pretty good through the 90s. Okay. And it was really, again, it was those Bush years where things started to take a turn and go down. It was after Clinton got out of office, say what you will about Clinton, but everything was going copacetic when he was in office, and he was getting blown. So, always positive.
So basically, if the president is getting laid, things go well.
That's right.
Gotcha.
JFK.
I'm sure Reagan was getting laid. JFK was getting definitely.
We know JFK was getting some, and everything was going just fine. We had the space program going on. That's how hopeful he was. He wanted to send people into space.
And that's part of what I was. That's part of where I said if Hitler hadn't been in power, how many things would be different?
It would be a tremendous amount. We may still even be going into depression. All right, the depression may have never ended.
The Manhattan Project was created specifically. The entire Manhattan Project was all about the world's greatest scientists.
Yep.
Creating essentially the atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, we used the hydrogen bomb. Similar in the research and everything. And it was used because of World War II.
Right.
Okay? And that was our testing ground. We essentially have nuclear power because of what happened as a result of us needing to develop these weapons.
We may not have gotten together as a group, as a nation, with the top scientists to do this.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay. To create the most frightening weapon known to man.
We wouldn't have actually gone to the moon if it wasn't for it either.
Well, that's...
Wernher von Braun, he was everything when it came to the space program. He developed the rocket that got us to the moon. Mm-hmm. And he was a Nazi scientist as well. He was a Nazi scientist against his will, but it was basically either work for us or we kill you like everyone else.
It's a fair bargain.
Okay. But because of that, he got all the funding and everything he needed to create what the Nazis wanted. And when we finally when he came here, and we got a hold of him, and we used him, he took all that research that he did, that the Nazis threw every fucking cent they had at it. Mm-hmm. Everything they could muster. Here, do it. We want that. We want to go to Mars, because Hitler thinks that it's the red planet, so Nazis need to be there.
I saw that movie. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't see that movie either.
There was, Nazis on the moon. It was Nazis on the moon.
No, I didn't see that.
There was Nazis on the moon. It was a movie, I'm telling you.
I'm sure it was.
It's like the butterfly effect.
Yes.
Butterfly effect. If the butterfly doesn't flap its wings and, then we have rain in Central Park instead of sunshine. Absolutely. It's a great theory, and again, scientifically, I'm sure there's some guy trying to break that wall. Mm-hmm. Literally, in the sense of literature,
Sheldon Cooper?
Yeah. In the sense of literature, it's a fun topic to play with as far as science fiction. Okay, science fiction, because of the fine line between science fiction and science fact. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's always, we got this plot hole here. Oh, well, what about this? What if we do time travel? And then all of a sudden...
But again, it's fiction.
It's fiction, so absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
I firmly believe that if there were no plot holes, movies wouldn't be interesting at all. That's what allows the movie to be interesting, because you just say, you know what, skip this. If you covered every single possible imaginable thing in a movie, every single possible plot hole, you covered them all, you went over them all, you filled all the holes, you'd have a documentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen,
and it wouldn't get half as interesting. Even documentaries have plot holes. They skip over things.
Michael
Moore has made
Michael Moore is ridiculous,
Michael Moore's made an entire
he's
career.
made a very good career
and
has quite a following with his plot holes. But no, even for my own self, for my own life, I could tell you, if I said no instead of yes, according to a phone call, I might not be sitting here right this very moment.
Well, I'm glad you said yes.
Well, everything.
You wish you weren't here.
If I was, just saying. No, if everything from my life from a certain point came down to one phone call, and if I said no instead of yes when my mother asked me, "Hey, do you want to go to this thing?" and I would have been like, "No, it sounds stupid," then I wouldn't be here right now. I would be someplace else. Maybe I'd be, a millionaire with a beautiful blonde with big tits.
You could be Hugh Hefner's best friend right now.
I could be.
Living in the
Now
grotto.
I'm saying to myself I should have said no. But, everybody has that pivotal point in their life. It's a turning point.
There's a movie called Mr. Nobody. essentially going through this one person's life. It's in the future, and we've come up with a cure for aging. Jared Leto is the oldest man alive. He is going to be the last person to die of old age. And he's like 140-something years old.
Okay.
Right? And he's laying in a hospital bed, and a reporter sneaks in, and he starts explaining his life. What gets strange about it, though, is he's explaining multiple timelines of his life. He has the memory of his mother getting on the train and leaving, and him and his father watching his mother leave. He has the memory of running from his father, catching up to his mother, and now being raised by his mother. He also has the memory of running toward the train to be with his mother, falling, tripping, and missing the train.
Okay.
That splits off then. Eventually, there's the one girl that he's with, and whether he actually was with her or not. Entirely different timelines. That's what this whole movie is concerning. Him telling the different possibilities of his life to this one reporter. And the reporter is trying to figure out.
I'm sure confused.
What? Yeah.
How old are you? How many lives have you lived?
In the beginning, it's really cool. Near the beginning of the movie, there's a breaking the fourth wall moment with Jared Leto, where he explains quantum mechanics, and he explains how everything is one thing and another at the same time. Okay. You're giving me Penny's look.
Well, because again, first off, you saw the movie, which helps.
It's essentially Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, the concept is
equation.
not something. Yeah, I mean, it's a concept nobody should be able to just sit there and go, I know exactly what you're talking about. You shouldn't say that because nobody's that smart. Okay, to understand everything that goes on in the universe at the same time, the different possibilities is just maddening.
Which is what I think why they had that point in the movie, to explain to people what the concept of this is. Right. Actually, the filmmaker stopped in the movie and had a moment. We're going to tell you what the hell we're talking about.
Let me tell you what this movie's about.
So you can follow the rest of this.
That's right.
And again, it's the Schrodinger's cat equation. You know, which, for those not...
Yes, we must break the fourth wall now and talk directly to the audience.
Yes. For those not aware of what Schrodinger's cat is, Schrodinger came up with this equation where he put a cat in a box.
Which is cruel. You should not do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Some cats.
It's not nice.
His theory was if you put a cat in a box, and inside this box you put a vial of poison that will eventually... What is she looking at?
And she's yawning.
Oh.
She's listening to you talking about killing cats. Go ahead.
Yeah. You put a vial of... Yeah. So, anyway, he puts his cat in a box, and in the box with the cat, he puts a vial of poison. The vial of poison could at any point in time break open and kill the cat. So, until you open this box to the world, this cat could be alive or dead inside this box. Because you don't know when this poison is going to open. You could open it and the poison hasn't and the cat's fine, or it could have opened a week ago and the cat's been dead and is now rotting and has
chances are the cat was rotting because it was without food or water in that box.
Well, we're going to suspend that disbelief for a moment. But that's the equation, and that's what this movie is based upon.
Right.
Okay?
It's always a box.
Yeah.
Pandora, it doesn't matter. It's always a goddamn box.
Boxes cause lots of problems.
Boxes are problems.
You know? Boxes cause lots of problems. Essentially, that's where we're going with the Mandela Effect. This is an example of the possibility that multiple different things have happened, and we are living in the result of one or another. But this theory claims that we are living in the result of both. And the prevalent example is the one that survives throughout history.
The strongest memory.
Yes.
Essentially.
Tends to be the most recent. A lot of these things started happening around the 70s when things started changing. The problem is with that, how many people, before technology became what it is, TV news and the media in general, the widespreadedness of...
that's a word. Go ahead.
Yes, it's a word. It's a word.
Spreadedness.
The widespreadedness of our media in general through the 80s and the 90s, how the media basically took over. It became everything.
Well, that has to do with...
TV and...
Well, TV helps, and then you had the the two guys, the two reporters that with Nixon, because of that one pivotal story, all of a sudden now we've got 24-hour news. People are diving into dumpsters and stuff like that because of this one news event that happened that involved the president of the United States. If it wasn't for one particular something,
exactly,
and it all spreads from there.
So before that, if memories had changed for people, it would simply be one of those, well, no, you're just wrong. Look at this encyclopedia. It tells me different. But no, when I was young, the encyclopedia said something different. No, you're just wrong.
Right.
And that would be a conversation between 2, 3, 4 people. And it wouldn't go any farther than that, because by the end of that conversation, that one person who was convinced it was different would now be convinced he was just wrong. But over time now, having different records, people being able to see more events. And now the internet, obviously, from the website, the internet gives those people with that alternate memory the ability to say, hang on a second, this was different. Who agrees with me? And thousands more people can come out and say, I remember that too. How is it possible that this doesn't exist? Now, here's one. Pop culture. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, how did he land her? Alternate reality, folks. Alternate reality.
As far as I remember, in the early 2000s, they got married and they had a child.
I cringe too. Go ahead.
You remember them?
I remember this clearly.
Getting married, having a child.
It's a sad day because I thought I had a chance with her.
A couple years ago, they had a second child.
Did they? Wow. So that means they had sex at least twice.
No, it means you're wrong.
Oh. It means
they only had their first child a couple years ago, 2009. But we both have very clear memories around 2003 or 4. They got married, they had a child.
They did hook up, they did get married, and everything did,
And they had a kid about 10 years ago. Their kid's only 3 or 4 years old.
So that wasn't 10 years ago. The math isn't right.
But when were you sure?
I was sure
that you lost a chance with her.
I was sure when I first saw her on TV that I didn't have a chance.
When was this?
This was 1990. When was Buffy? 1997.
Well, you knew you didn't have a chance.
I knew I didn't have a chance.
But that's not the point.
No, but it had to be. Well, no, it was. They worked together first. I think
I know
on
did last summer.
That was that and the Scooby-Doo movie. And I figured it was around then, 2000, 2001, 2002, whenever that god-awful fucking movie came out, that they ended up getting hitched and all that.
Yeah.
So we're talking a number of years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. At least 10 years ago.
At least 10 years ago.
Not true at all.
So I still have a chance.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
The point is, we remember it happening. Sarah Michelle Gellar getting married and having a baby around 2003 or 2004. At the time of this writing, April 2011, Wikipedia didn't mention either the marriage or children. It said that Freddie Prinze Jr. had dated Sarah Michelle Gellar, but they broke up. There was no mention of children. The couple, now in 2013, Wikipedia reports the couple have 2 children, a daughter named Charlotte Grace Prinze, who was born in 2009, and a son in 2012. But we very clearly remember them getting married back in 2003-ish.
Ish.
Give or take 10 to 12 years ago. We very clearly remember them getting married. But
they got married. No, they didn't get married.
They did not get married.
No.
How do we all remember them being married and having a child 10 to 12 years ago? And
because secretly we all like that Scooby-Doo movie with the two of them in it, and we just don't want to admit it. They met and they fell in love, and then they made a sequel.
See, but that's just it. They did get together. They did get together,
but in this box,
and then years later got back together,
right,
and had children.
He finally came to his senses, and he realized he was not going to land anybody better than that. And he called her up and he said in a drunken slur, "I love you," and that's what happened. It's exactly what happened. You can.
See, I'm not looking for an answer here.
There is no answer. There's no answer.
There's no way to answer
this. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating concept of these little things. What kind of effect would this have had? What would have happened if Freddie Prinze Jr.
Doesn't matter what would have happened.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe it does matter. Maybe it does.
Maybe it does.
Maybe I bump into Sarah Michelle Gellar while she's doing that show in New York with Robin Williams, and she falls madly in love with me. I like this alternate history.
Here's a weird one. Unfortunately, we're going to need a visual aid here, so the audience is left out of this. You're looking at a globe. You're looking at a map of the world. Picture it. This is Australia.
That is not Australia.
No, it's not Australia. This is a cigarette case.
Yeah, but just saying.
This cigarette case represents Australia on the map.
Right.
Where is New Zealand?
New Zealand, from my point of view, would be over here. To the left of the case. Right of the case.
Here is a screenshot from the movie Dazed and Confused. Came out in 1993.
Yeah, Mila Jovovich is in that one. I like that one too. Okay, and we're looking at a map, and...
That is Australia.
Yes, that is Australia she is looking at.
What is that landmass to the southwest?
I do not know.
Keep scrolling, and you'll see the map of the world.
That is the map of the world.
Minus a landmass.
Yeah, something sort of disappears on this globe that's in Dazed and Confused that is not on the regular map.
Now, this could possibly be just a...
Somebody was dazed and confused.
No, forget that. This specifically, I have always been under the impression that New Zealand
Right.
was to the southwest, or at least the west side of Australia. Always been sure of that. I've always thought that.
You've always thought.
I've always thought I could just be really bad at geography, but she thought the same thing. Whenever I watched Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
I always pictured whenever they looked to the right, that way is Australia.
Right.
Always been that way in my head.
Always.
Always been that way. And quite a few people have always thought, again, could be just bad geography. But what the fuck is that?
What that is a
What country is that?
I don't know.
It doesn't
That's
exist.
not a country. That's
It
not a real
does not
thing. That's
exist.
not real.
But there it is.
On that globe in the movie Dazed and Confused, somebody was smoking a doobie. And they added
And they painted
a
A
whole
new landmass.
a new landmass onto the globe.
Very strange.
Yes.
I've always thought New Zealand was to the west, but apparently it's to the northeast of
Northeast.
Australia.
I would definitely
now,
say
this
the
is
east.
another reason why I wanted you to be part of this conversation, because you're a teacher.
Oh, that's right. Let's put that out there.
Well, you know, now we're getting closer to finding out who Erik M is.
Hey, careful now.
You're a teacher, so you teach these things of sorts. You learn this.
I've done history of geography.
You're not just some dumb schmo off the street. You get paid
Well, that's
because
up
you
for
have
debate.
information in your brain.
I do have information.
Yes, they pay you because you have thoughts and memories and you know things about the world that others may not be privy to.
This is a frightening
While they may
concept,
not
but
be,
true.
yes, while it may not be secretive information about the world,
No.
nonetheless, you teach others. So your opinion, for the most part, in matters like
It
this,
matters. It matters.
does
Yes.
matter. Yes, because there's a generation of kids out there with the shit you told them in their brain.
I'm sorry, world.
Of course, I was not one of those children who was told where New Zealand was, apparently.
Let's be honest, though. Our generation wasn't told where New Zealand was. We never looked that fucking
No,
far on the
because
map.
Lord of the Rings
we
did not
didn't
exist, so
have a
nobody
Lord of the
cared.
Rings. Nobody gave a
Nobody
shit.
cared.
It was like, New Zealand? Who's going to Australia? Really? Come on. We got Kylie Minogue. We were done in the 80s. That was it. What came out of Australia? Kylie Minogue.
Here's another one. Me and her agree on this one. Interview with a vampire or interview with the vampire?
Either way, the book was really long.
What is it called?
Interview with a vampire.
With...
A vampire.
No, it's not.
With the vampire?
The vampire.
No.
Yep.
No.
Absolutely.
Interview
With the
vampire.
is the title.
The vampire.
The is the title. I read the book. I saw the fucking movie. It was Interview with a Vampire.
Okay. Okay. It was.
And now, if you go back and find old copies, every fucking copy of this movie and book that you can find says Interview with the Vampire. Even go home, get your old copy that you probably have sitting in a box somewhere.
Someplace.
Says the Vampire.
The vampire. It says interview with the vampire.
Yep.
And I remember it as vampire with a interview.
Interview.
I've gone dyslexic.
Yep. Interview with a vampire. I remember it that way. She remembers it that way. You remember it that way. Incorrect.
It's interview with the
vampire.
Why the fuck would it be that?
I don't know.
Why the fuck would it be that?
I do not know. Doesn't make sense either.
It doesn't sound right.
Because it's so wrong in your mind. It
That's
doesn't
it.
even make sense.
It doesn't. It's just wrong. It's
All right,
just
Lynn,
wrong.
can I have a piece of paper and a pen? Because he needs to write this one out. Here's the one that starts, the biggest one that people are losing their fucking minds over. There's a bunch of articles being written. This theory is getting very big and popular right now. And there was even an article, I believe, on CNET or some big fucking thing. Write the words. Berenstain Bears. Spell Berenstain Bears.
Teacher probably spelled Berenstain wrong.
Huh?
The teacher probably.
Well, you remember
spelled
the books when you were young? Remember the cartoons?
Yeah, there was the funny looking bears with the crazy faux hawks going on. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears. How is bears spelt? Wait a minute. That's Berenstain.
Yes, it is Berenstain.
That's not Jewish.
No.
Berenstain Bears. Berenstain Bears. It's the I've always pronounced it Berenstain Bears.
So have I.
And I remember these god awful books. They were not good.
So do I.
Okay, and I figured you were going to show me Bears as in B-A...
No.
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 Okay, but it's Berenstain
Not
Bears.
Stein.
Stein. Stein. No, I'm telling you, they were Jewish. They were Jewish bears.
Slowly, Eric is coming around to this theory. It's starting to make more sense as we get more evidence.
It's more frightening, actually.
Isn't that...
It's more frightening, actually, because now my memory is askew. Is my memory askew? Or is everybody not known how to spell shit?
I would think...
I'm now looking at the writing. I write Berenstain, Stein.
And it even
it's Frankenstein.
It even
Frankenstein.
looks wrong. It
looks wrong. It does. It's Stein.
Every single book says
Stein. I got to go to the
Everyone,
library right now.
Go to a library, find it, look
I'm
it
gonna
up.
look it up.
Go
Berenstain
watch
Bears.
the cartoons. Watch even
Excuse me,
created
librarian.
by Hal and Jan.
Remember those god-awful
Hal
books?
and Jan Berenstain.
I was always more of a Winnie the Pooh guy.
I wasn't a bear person to begin with.
I was more of a Pooh
so I
Bear
didn't like
kind
any of it.
guy.
But I had the Berenstain Bears book.
Yeah, I remember these books clearly. And Stein was how I pronounced it. Stein was the way I'm spelling it in my head. I'm spelling it on a paper here. And that says Stein. Berenstain Bears.
Yeah. This is the big one that people... Because everybody remembers these fucking books. And people do not remember there being an A. It's always an E.
So why? I want to know why. Why were they the Stein Bears?
I don't... Because that was their name. Jan and Hal, I believe their names are. Jan and Hal.
Oh, fuck if I remember their names.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
I got it from here, but Berenstain was their name.
I don't even remember their stupid misadventures.
The husband and wife who created them,
Yeah.
their name was Berenstain. Says it always has been. Their whole family has always been Berenstain.
So they made the Berenstain Bears.
Yes.
And we just
So it's
remember.
not possible it was Berenstain Bears, because that's their name, Berenstain.
Berenstain.
That's the family name.
Right.
How the fuck do we all remember Berenstain? We all pronounced it Berenstain. I said it, you wrote it, didn't even hesitate. Berenstain.
Yeah.
Berenstain.
It's fine.
Always has been.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not. I'm just looked at it. It's not.
It's not.
I'm going to look at it again. I'm going to go and find, I got a nephew. I'm sure he's got that book in his little library someplace. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to look at this.
You're going to say, look, there's a fucking
See this, you little shit?
No, there's an A.
Somebody fucked up the spelling. Somebody screwed up. Some anti-Semitic person said, no, they can't be Jewish bears.
Changed every book in the history
of the world.
40,
Yeah, that's it.
Years that this has been
and I'll find my copy of the spooky whatever the hell Berenstain Bear Adventure, which is the only book I think I remember having with them. And it was
probably the only one worth it.
Yeah, probably the Halloween issue, and that's the one that I remember. And I remember Berenstain Bears.
Yep.
And it's just very ingrained in there. And why? Why?
Too.
What is it about that name that I had to reverse the lettering?
Do you know much about Agatha Christie?
Much about Agatha Christie besides her name?
No.
No.
Okay. I was hoping maybe you would have. There's a lot of these that I don't have much memory on.
Agatha Christie is a significant name.
Of course. Yeah. I always remember when I was young, and this happened. This is not disputed at all in this theory. Agatha Christie ended up being almost a victim of her own books, because in 1926 she disappeared.
Okay.
Do you recall that?
No.
Okay. I remember that being just a little ironic tale that was told. That Agatha Christie wrote a bunch of murder mystery novels and then she herself disappeared.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
And that's why I don't remember, because I was not a fan of that genre. But,
Okay.
Go ahead.
But that's what I remember when I was young. Apparently she turned up 10 days later, and her biography doesn't even have anything written about her disappearance. But
was
the fact
just a
is
hell of
that
a
people
hangover.
have, yeah, possibly, they found her in some hotel somewhere with amnesia 10 days after her disappearance was. But apparently people recall that she was never found. She disappeared and was never found. I can't say for sure. All I know is I remember being told she was a victim of her own novels and she disappeared as well. Nobody ever said whether she was found or she died or whatever. I just know
She vanished.
she vanished at some point. Write out the name Barbara Streisand.
Oh, man.
B-A-R B-R-A is the correct spelling of her name. Barbara. Not Barbara.
But which is what I wrote, Barbara.
This could simply be attributed to the fact that Barbara is commonly spelled with that A in there.
Right.
You know? They just swear
that's the way it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. I figured you were going to screw me up with Streisand or something like that.
No. Who the fuck can spell? It's a Jewish name. It's another Jewish name.
Berenstain. It's the Jews. It's something that's the Jews. This show has become something different. It's all about how the Jews have been persecuted.
Now, this one, we all know, Betty White is alive and well. We all know that. She's kicking and she's awesome.
She's doing really, really well.
Apparently, there's a whole bunch of people who clearly remember her dying years ago.
Was it after Lake Placid? Or before? Because she was pretty good in that.
I don't know.
No, Betty White's alive and kicking and doing well.
Brian Dennehy?
Brian Dennehy is... I haven't seen him in forever. When was the last time? I have that problem. You know who I have a problem with? Ernest Borgnine. I think he's... I swear to God, I saw an article with him dead. And then he pops up in some movie I'm watching.
Okay. Brian Dennehy, alive and well.
He is alive and well. That's good to know. I like him. He's all right.
Yeah. But when's the last time you saw him?
Fuck if I know.
Who knows? But apparently, again, people believe he's dead. Surprised to hear that he's alive. The color Chartreusse.
Chartreusse.
The color Chartreusse. What color is it? What color do you picture when you hear the word Chartreusse?
I'm going to say blue. It's always fucking blue. It's always fucking blue. I'm just going to say blue. It's a bluish color.
Chartreusse is yellow-green.
Are you sure this is not? It's a bright yellow green. This is not a made-up term. This is some art term.
It's a bright yellow green.
Like
you said, it's an art term.
Yeah.
I've been doing art my whole life.
So have I.
Colors, all this shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's been. I've always remembered it as a purplish red, but, and a lot of people say purplish red. I'm also partially colorblind, but I am not so colorblind to confuse purplish red with
yellow green.
Yeah. At all. Not even close. But Chartreuse is yellow green. Apparently, it is the color of the wine or champagne, whatever the fuck it is. Most people remember it a blue purple or a red purple.
See, now, if you said terracotta, I would have been like, oh, it's like that's orange.
What about the color puce?
Puce is green.
Okay. It is dark red or purple brown, but many recall it as green. You do art. I do art. We both know fucking colors.
Yes.
We've both had that 400-piece color paint set and the color and the
color pencils and all that.
Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Puce is green.
Yes.
Chartreuse is purple. You say blue, close enough. Same family-ish area.
Yeah, family-ish area, sure.
Yeah, family-ish area.
Yeah.
Yellow-green and purple-brown or dark red are nowhere near what we just said.
No.
But apparently that's what it is.
I blame Crayola. I'm gonna blame. They gave me the crayons. I'm blaming them.
Many people recall. Now, this is something that we will be very objective about. Many people recall Dick Clark dying.
He did,
but we watch him every single fucking year on the New Year's.
Ball. Yeah,
that is a New York thing. We know he's alive. Every year he gets on that TV. We say this fucking guy's
still alive. Every year. Guy's had a stroke. Half his face is hanging off of him. There he is, still kicking, still kissing his wife every fucking year. All right, absolutely.
There he is.
Yes, he is not dead.
Disney World. You went to Disney World when you were young?
I did not. I was poor. I grew up poor, so I never went any place.
Well, you didn't know. Okay, well, you don't know this one. This one, I will agree with the current memory of it. Many people remember. They recall taking a monorail from the Orlando airport directly to the Disney World property. I do remember that. Do you remember that? Yeah, take a monorail from Orlando directly to Disney World. The Orlando airport has a train, not a monorail, and it doesn't take people to Disney World.
Where does it take them?
I don't know. It takes them wherever they go.
The other side of the airport.
Now, I didn't go to Disney World. I went to Disneyland, right? Disney World is in
Florida. Disneyland is in California.
That's it. So, yes, it's Disney World I was at. And I do specifically recall, I was out in that fucking airport, we got on that goddamn monorail, and we took it straight there.
The hostility about your feelings towards Disney World make me feel I'm glad I didn't go.
I remember going with my friend when I was 17 years old, getting on that monorail and expecting to land at Disney. I did not land at Disney. I landed on the other side of the airport.
When you were 17?
When I was 17.
But when you were younger...
I remember doing that.
Got on the monorail, went straight fucking there.
When I was 17.
Yep. But it does not have a monorail. It has a train, and the train doesn't go to Disney World. Wherever it goes, don't know, but it doesn't go to Disney World.
Go see the other side of the airport.
There you go.
I've never been to the airport
There you go.
in Florida,
Disney
and I'd
World.
just be happy to be on a plane anywhere.
Are we sure about that Disney World or Disneyland? Are you sure about
Yeah.
No,
Disney
no.
World. No, Disney
Look
World
that
is in
up. I
Florida.
want to
No,
be sure.
the reasons, no,
I could
Because
swear
it's not a funny movie.
yeah, no. Disney World is in Florida because of the ability for them to still expand in the Florida swamps.
they called the first one Disney World, and it never expanded.
it did expand.
Then he made Disneyland, which did expand. Ha ha! Look, we're doing this again. Disneyland was Florida. Land is bigger than world.
Yeah, wait, really?
As I've always known it. Disneyland is the bigger one in Disney, and then Disney World. Disney World,
Land Park, Anaheim, California.
Right.
not how I remember it.
Well, then you're.
Cause I'm going to Disneyland.
Well, but you went to Disney World. If you went
Where
to
are
Florida.
you going? I'm going to Disneyland in Florida.
I remember after every Super Bowl, some fucking football player screams
I'm
it.
going to Disneyland
Yeah.
in Florida.
Yeah.
Because it was the new park that they were promoting that they wanted everyone to go to in Florida.
And the truth is what
See
we
what
really
I'm saying?
want to go to.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Is Euro Disney World. We want to go to Euro Disney because that's where the shit goes down. That's the shit right there, Euro Disney. But
But the point is, I specifically recall. This is a new one right here. This isn't even written here. I specifically recall.
You're just- this is a
Disneyland
different-
was Florida.
different box he's created right here, and it's a common misconception with most people.
This is which I can abide by that.
Yes.
The dude abides that
The
one.
dude abides. Get us
Okay.
a couple of white Russians.
I
All
can
right.
go with that one. I'm okay. If I was, maybe I was just wrong on that one. But she physically took that fucking monorail when she was young, and she remembers going straight from the airport to there, and now it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it still exists.
It just goes from one part of the airport to the other.
It's not a monorail.
Yes,
Just
it is.
that's the point. It's not.
It is a monorail.
It's just a fucking train.
It has the little.
The Orlando airport has a train, not a monorail. That's the point. They're saying that the monorail there doesn't exist. People remember being on it, but it doesn't exist.
I remember it.
Let's just get into
I
what's.
remember it too, because I was on it.
Let's just get into the really important part. I'm sad because I've never been to either Disney World nor Disneyland, and I want to go and I want to take a picture
Look it
of
up.
Mickey.
Does Disney World have a monorail?
I'm just saying. Mickey Mouse. Why?
Monorail or the train?
Why can't I take a picture with Mickey Mouse?
The tram?
The tram. Now we're introducing tram into this. What happened to monorail?
Not there.
There is no monorail.
We both remember being on the monorail that doesn't actually exist, apparently.
There is no spoon.
People also recall
Yes.
that the castle was the entrance to Disney World. That you walked through the gates of the castle to
I don't think the
enter.
castle goes anywhere.
Castle's in the middle of the park.
And it goes in the middle of the park
A
and
lot
it's
of
just
people-
there.
The Lindbergh Baby.
Yep.
What happened to that Lindbergh child?
The Lindbergh baby.
Lindbergh baby.
Yeah, the Lindbergh baby went missing.
And
And beyond that, I cannot recall. The baby was found. I want to say that the baby was found. Was the baby not found?
the baby was found.
The baby was found.
Not as far as I remember.
That's fucked up.
As far as I know, Lindbergh Baby was one of those mysteries that was never solved.
Never solved.
Never solved.
They always
Baby.
said I am the Lindbergh Baby.
That's right. They always said, "I am the Lindbergh." That's where you are.
And there was
yeah.
a huge mystery. When we were young, all these people popped up saying, I am the Lindbergh Baby, I am the Lindbergh Baby. Do you remember that?
Yes.
But they found the Lindbergh Baby. So how could anyone else be the Lindbergh baby if it was found and raised by the rest of the family? How could that have possibly been a pop culture thing? I'm the Lindbergh Baby if we know who the fucking Lindbergh Baby is. That's like me telling you I'm JFK. Well, how's that possible? I know who the fuck JFK is and you're not him.
Right. You could say the same. I'm Deep Throat. I'm Deep Throat. That nobody knows who Deep Throat is.
Exactly.
And although some dude came out saying he was Deep Throat.
But you don't know that for sure because you don't know who he is.
Deep Throat is.
And that was the whole point of the I am the Lindbergh Baby thing that popped up in
Right.
in the 80s.
'Cause nobody
knew who he
knew,
was. So there was some people popping up saying I'm the Lindbergh Baby and I'm the heir to the fortune and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But we know who the Lindbergh Baby is because apparently he was found after 20 days or so.
Yeah. It was about like a month later.
Many recall it was never found. In this time stream, the 20-month-old baby was found a week and a half after the kidnapping.
Oh, just a week and a half.
A week and a half later.
Could have swore it was longer.
I could have sworn it was never found, because of the I'm the Lindbergh Baby 50 years later.
That's
Wait a minute. What your reading says that they found it and raised it?
No, it just says they found it about
a week and a half later. They found the baby.
Maybe the baby was found
And you're
dead.
looking at Wikipedia.
Maybe the baby was found dead.
Months after the kidnapping, it was found a short distance from the home with a fractured skull.
So it was dead.
Skull. It was dead.
So the baby was dead. They found the baby. Okay, I'm not saying it was raised. I'm just saying that was my own additive
the
to
Lindbergh
it.
Baby.
Baby was found with a fractured skull. Dead?
Well, usually when
Baby
you have a
was found
fractured
2
skull
months
and you're a
later.
baby.
According to this, which was written in whenever, it was found a week and a half after the kidnapping. Wikipedia says 2 months. Okay, and it was found. But again, if the baby was found alive or dead, it doesn't matter. How could anyone claim to be the Lindbergh Baby if they found the baby?
And somebody was executed for it.
Somebody was even dead because of that. You know what?
Wait, okay, wait. Hang on, wait. You're telling me they actually know who kidnapped the Lindbergh Baby? Because this was the greatest mystery of all fucking time.
I could have swore that nobody ever found
Never
out
knew who it was or whoever found the baby. As far as nothing, disappeared. Baby disappeared like a fart in the wind.
Literally
Gone.
got up and walked away.
But this one found 2 months later dead, and then somebody went to trial and was executed for it.
Yeah.
Short version.
It went unsolved until 1934.
34.
Kidnapped in 32,
And they figured it out
unsolved in 32 years later.
Found some of the marked bills from the ransom money.
I do remember hearing that. But from what I understand, they did the money drop. They took the money, and the baby was never found.
Yes.
And the kidnappers were never found. There was a lot of people there was a lot of suspects that they had, but nobody was ever found for it. Now you're saying that somebody was found
And executed.
and executed.
He was found with some of the marked bills of the ransom money. He claims a friend gave him the money to hold on to.
Just holding on to these nudie mags for a friend.
He went to trial, and the jury convicted him.
But the main thing is, I'm the Lindbergh Baby.
Right.
How is this possible?
How is it? Why? Well, how did it even become a thing? Why did it become a thing?
How could it have become a thing if this baby was found
2 years later?
2 months later. Baby was found 2 months later. The person was found 2 years
2
later.
years later.
Yeah.
Again, why did it even become a thing?
How could it possibly become a thing?
And it was. I am the Lindbergh Baby.
You remember that?
I am Spartacus.
We remember this in our
lifetime.
In the past 35 years.
Correct.
We
remember people making that, joke, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And they were joking about somebody that was already dead.
Yeah.
And found.
Yep.
And somebody was already executed.
How's
for
that possible?
Because people have a sixth
How
sense
could
of humor.
you even take it serious? I understand the sixth sense of humor. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
But it was taken seriously.
That's it. Why?
Yeah, this isn't like some tabloid thing. This was taken seriously back 30 years-ish ago.
Yeah.
This was taken seriously. People, well, maybe he is. Do the DNA test. Why would you do the DNA test? We found the fucking baby. We found the body of the child and it was dead.
With a fractured skull.
Why would we do tests to find out if this guy is the body we found dead 70 years ago? Why would we bother with that? Because there's a possibility.
Yep.
It's a possibility.
There's a possibility.
That this was that there was an altered, fractured timeline that coalesced with ours,
Badly decomposed.
which means the baby was probably killed. Then they took the money. The baby could have already been dead at that point.
Correct.
Mars.
Mars.
Mars have a
planets.
moon?
Mars has a moon.
How many?
That I couldn't say, but it's probably more than one. I'll go 4.
It's 2.
2. Okay.
I've always known 2. I like science. I like astronomy.
When it comes to the planets, I can never remember because each planet has its own set of moons. Some what is it? One of them has 9. I think the
Jupiter's got like 16.
Yeah,
or 30 or something like that.
Yeah, so I couldn't tell you how many each one has, but okay, moons.
Many people believe Mars doesn't have a moon. I know. I know
it has a moon.
2 moons.
No, that
It's
I
always
could
had 2 moons.
Yeah,
yes.
I won't tell you how many, but I know it has a moon.
Martin Luther King.
He's
shot
dead.
with a handgun or
Ooh.
shot with a handgun at close range
Okay. Yeah.
or with a rifle at long range.
No. Close range handgun. It was not a rifle at long range. He was shot close range with a handgun. Yes. Or am I thinking John Lennon?
John Lennon was definitely a handgun.
It was definitely a handgun with John Lennon. See, I'm mixing up my assassinations.
No, that was definitely he came up from behind him.
Right.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I've heard both stories.
You've heard both stories.
He was shot at close range with a handgun. I also remember. Was it? He was on a. They shot him from a balcony. I think through a window, with a rifle. Which is it, my dear?
That was JFK.
No. He was in a hotel room.
Okay.
Martin Luther King was in a hotel room. Somebody else was in the adjoining hotel room
And shot him.
shot across, and that's how he killed him. What?
I'm looking at it now. I believe it's right.
You believe it's a rifle?
And you said handgun close range.
I said handgun close range, but I could be.
But you see this is where the
Rifle shot.
single
Rifle
rifle
was
shot
shot
through a
through.
hotel window, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that, but I also do recall that hearing that story of him at close range, somebody coming up from behind him. Malcolm X was that one, and that's
okay.
what I think the confusion is.
Malcolm X was
came up
shot
from
with
behind
that
him.
was
He
behind.
was making a speech on a balcony, right? I think.
Right.
I think Malcolm X was making a speech on a balcony, and somebody came through the crowd from behind him and shot him.
And I'm thinking John Lennon, who was shot with a handgun.
It was that was on the street.
That was on the street
outside the
honestly,
hotel.
that's why for whatever reason, that's how I'm remembering Martin Luther King getting shot on the street with a handgun by the assassin.
So it's quite possible that people are confusing the death of Martin Luther King with Malcolm X.
How about the fact that everybody's confusing the massive amount of assassinations going on during this time period?
There's that too. And the fact that they were all rifles except for. No, excuse me, they weren't rifles because JFK Jr., not JFK Jr.
JFK.
RFK was shot with a handgun, close range. Malcolm X
Had a speaking engagement at Manhattan's Audubon Ballroom.
Okay.
3 gunmen rushed him on stage.
3 gunmen?
Shot him 15 times.
What? Now that I don't fucking remember at all.
15 times at close range? Did
Holy
Denzel die like that?
Shit. I don't remember. No, I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that at all. 3 people?
3 gunmen? Wow, they really wanted him
They did not fucking like that
hated
guy.
that motherfucker.
He was not liked. Even Martin Luther King got only one.
Wow, 15 times on stage? I thought he was shot.
Like once in the back of the head.
Yeah. Now RFK, what?
What?
Somebody came up behind him, put the gun right behind his head, and
Bam.
blam.
Same thing with Lincoln.
Shot him. Yes, Lincoln,
All right.
same way. John F. Kennedy was shot by multiple people while he was in his car. Okay? There is no...
We're not going to get into it. Let's not get into JFK.
What's
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia?
The other one I looked at was biography.
His biography said three gunmen,
3 gunmen,
15 shots.
15 shots.
Wikipedia says...
And this is Wikipedia, folks. This is not the most
One
reliable.
man.
Rushed the stage, shot him once in the chest with a sawed-off shotgun.
One man rushed the stage,
With
shot
a
him in the chest with a
sawed-off
sawed-off
shotgun.
Not done yet.
Wait.
2 other men charged the stage firing semi-automatic handguns.
What the fuck?
The autopsy identified 21 gunshots to the chest,
21.
shoulder, arms, legs,
His biography says
10
15.
buckshot wounds from the initial shot.
In other
Wait,
words,
okay.
Malcolm X
That's-
was so hated that a group of motherfuckers got together and said, "We can't fuck this up. He's not leaving this one alive." That's how much he was disliked.
Wow.
God damn. I'm not getting into JFK now, but the Malcolm X one is fascinating because I didn't know that. I did not remember
tell you
that.
this, though. You remember that show Autopsy?
Yeah.
Dr. Michael Baden. He was one of the attending physicians in the JFK autopsy.
Right.
He was one of the people who said that there were gunshots from multiple directions. And that was his testimony to the Warren Commission. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now he says lone gunman theory holds up.
Okay. After all that,
He now says
The lone
he's
gunman
with
was.
he's with everybody else in the whole thing. Now that's not altered memory right there. That's just somebody I believe, being paid to say the opposite.
yeah.
But his testimony to the Warren Commission was multiple gunshots from multiple directions, multiple areas.
yeah. Grassy Knoll, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, he didn't say specifically that because obviously
Nobody wants to say Grassy
Martin
Knoll
Luther
anymore.
King Jr.
Was standing on a balcony at his hotel room.
hotel room, yeah,
Right.
and they shot from across
Hang
the
on.
other hotel room. I'm just stating what I remember.
Struck him in the jaw.
A what?
A bullet struck him in the jaw and severed his spinal cord.
Okay.
That was
and
a
where
hell
did
of a
that bullet
shot.
come from?
They found a Remington hunting rifle on the sidewalk beside a rooming house 1 block from.
Okay, but where did the bullet come from?
They believe it came from that boarding house.
Which was where?
Across.
Came from across
the street.
The street.
And the thing is for whatever reason, I remember Martin Luther King getting shot on the street by with a handgun. Okay, and I'm this is my memory of it.
Yeah.
Of him getting shot with a handgun on a street by some guy with 3 names. It's always 3 names.
Sirhan.
Yeah.
That's Sirhan is RFK? Right? Because the guy who shot John Lennon is Mark David Chapman.
Right.
Sirhan was RFK. He shot RFK, right? Or did he shoot Martin Luther King? No. Sirhan.
Well, we're not
Just,
even...
yeah. RFK.
Right. And I
he
remember,
was the Manchurian Candidate. That's the theory of him. That's where, but that's where the Manchurian Candidate theory comes from. That Sirhan was programmed.
Saran.
No, he's got 3.
It says 2 everywhere I'm looking, including Reuters.com.
But it's always 3 names, isn't
What's
it?
his
Always 3
name?
names?
What's his name on Wikipedia? Birth name.
Saran.
What's his name?
Saran Gershara Saran.
It's always been Sirhan. Sirhan. 3 names.
Yeah, 3 names.
It's always been 3 names.
It's always 3 names.
So why is it 2 now?
I don't know.
You had Mark David Chapman.
Right.
Sirhan.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Booth.
John Wilkes
Booth. Who killed Martin Luther King? James Earl Ray, that's right.
And it was apparently 3 guys that killed Malcolm X.
How many names did the 3 guys who killed Malcolm X?
9 names.
We got 9 fucking names. We got 9 names here.
I'm sorry, 3 guys with Malcolm X. I find
Who
that
shot the
fucking
Pope? Who attempted to assassinate the Pope?
Which Pope?
2 names. That's why he survived. Pope Paul.
John Paul. Mehmet.
Let me see. She's not good with Arabian names.
Listen, I'm sorry, I'm white.
Mehmet Ali Agha.
Holy shit.
Mehmet Ali Agha. 3 names.
3 names.
How did he fail? Who assassinated America's freedom? Osama bin Laden.
I'm not arguing this with you. I'm agreeing completely. I'm not arguing this. No, it's
but I don't
3.
agree with that.
What?
There's George W. Bush.
Well, yeah, you can argue who did
He
it.
assassinated
you can argue.
our freedoms
Was it Bush, George W. Bush, or Osama bin Laden?
So anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. Here is one that fucked with me real hardcore.
Okay. Is this going to be like the map?
Yes, similar.
Similar to the map?
Describe to me
Yeah.
what Mussolini looked like.
Mussolini. As in...
Benito Mussolini.
All right. Gray hair.
You don't have to be that specific, but,
All right,
what is his distinguishing features?
feature. I picture him in a suit. I picture him with glasses for some reason. Gray hair, older, distinguished-looking guy. That's how I picture Mussolini. Okay.
I pictured a slightly overweight man.
Which was typical.
The hat and a mustache, rounded face.
Okay.
That's how I always pictured him.
All right.
He had a mustache, round face, and a hat in a suit.
A suit.
3-piece.
Pinstripe type suit. Yeah. Okay.
Who's that guy?
This is you're good. This is Mussolini.
That is Mussolini.
Balding, real strong chin.
Not what you thought he looked like, huh?
No.
Now,
this is a very military looking
Now think about it
guy.
for yourself.
Yeah.
That picture you had of Mussolini, what's he look like? When I first found this theory and I found this about this, I had that picture of Mussolini in my head. As soon as I saw that picture, I almost couldn't remember my old image of him. Couldn't see it at all.
Well,
Kind of was replaced by this now.
Yeah, well, now I'm looking at this obvious strong military with the suit, the paraphernalia he's got on, everything like that.
With the
strong
military
jaw,
uniform.
the military uniform.
With the uniform, not a suit.
Not a suit. But wait, there is a picture here of him in a suit.
Well, of course, I'm sure you wore a suit.
But still, yeah,
But the point is,
but still not the suit I was thinking.
Not the
I
type.
was
You're
thinking-
picturing a specific photo that was Mussolini. And this is what you've always seen Mussolini as. And now you look at the pictures and say, that's not the same guy in that picture that I thought.
No.
And this is the guy I've always pictured as Mussolini in my head my entire life. Whenever somebody said Mussolini, I got this image in my head. Totally not that fucking person.
No.
Not even close.
This is not who I was thinking. This is not who I was thinking. I was not thinking...
And what do you teach in school?
Typically I teach English. Sometimes I teach history, but I don't, we don't do world history
But
anymore.
you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
it's...
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you have textbooks in and around you, in front of you, on a pretty regular basis.
On a regular basis,
Yes.
yeah. No, I'm
Maybe
exposed...
not this specifically, but you're exposed to...
No, I am exposed to history on a regular basis, almost daily, and this was not how I remember Mussolini. And it's interesting because, again, when you talk about this time period, the one guy that pops into your head automatically is you got
Stalin and Hitler.
and you got what's his name with the cigar.
Henry Kissinger? No.
Doesn't matter. Point being, no, it really doesn't matter
not
because
him.
it's not him. Okay, and for some reason, I mean, what this time period, somebody that was powerful was always overweight.
Is the guy with the cigar you're thinking of possibly? Could that have been the Mussolini you always pictured?
It's possible.
Maybe that's the photo you're thinking of.
Maybe.
There were three main bad guys back then. It was Mussolini, it was Hitler, and Stalin. You know damn well what Stalin looks like. You know damn well what Hitler looks like.
Yeah.
Mussolini again, fat guy. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Fat guy with a fucking
with a stogie,
cigar.
because that was the definition of wealth and power, was a fat guy with a cigar. Okay, and it's true. It's if anything, if a woman saw a heavy set guy on the beach in the 1920s or 30s, that was
got money.
That's the guy you want to fuck. That's the guy you want to be down with.
He's getting laid.
He's getting some. The skinny guy or the fit guy was not necessarily the guys. He did not portray wealth. Okay, so again, that's a strong-looking guy.
Not the guy
Not
you
the guy I
thought
had
of as
pictured in my head
Mussolini.
as Mussolini.
Totally not. If I had stuck this picture in front of you, you'd say, well, "Who's that guy?"
Pretty much.
Mussolini looks different in historical photos now than how he looked in earlier photos and textbook pictures. But not just different photos, a different man.
What, did they get the wrong guy?
This is what I'm saying. Everybody remembers a different people. Not everybody, but a lot of people remember.
No, here I am, and
an
I've taught
entirely different
history.
person.
I've studied history, and I remember Mussolini looking different.
So that's the people that you're looking at. The guy you're looking at now in these photos, you're like, that's not who I remember.
I could have been remembering Rasputin, for Christ's sake. It's. I think I'd remember Rasputin, but still, it was a completely
He was on
different.
the Typo Negative CD cover. Yeah, McFarlane made a toy of Rasputin.
Yeah,
Remember, he was
and
hanging
he was
from
he
the-
was Hellboy's main villain.
See, so you
was
would remember Rasputin.
I would remember Rasputin, absolutely. But it was not somebody that looked like that because, again, what was the definition? I mean, even Hitler himself didn't look like somebody that should be ruling the world, according to that time, because he was too thin. He had that Charlie Chaplin mustache that not even Charlie Chaplin had. Okay, and it's just interesting that how we perceive these villains to be and what we actually remember and what we actually see. It's fascinating. But I would have said Mussolini was older. I would have said that he was a little bit more, definitely didn't have that military look to him.
No, definitely more than likely an overweight person.
Yeah,
overweight
absolutely.
man.
Overweight guy. And again, I remember everybody having a goddamn cigar.
Here's an odd one.
Okay.
The sky looks different now to many people. Different colors, including the color of the sun, different placement of the sun, the moon, and some stars. Different relative brilliance of the stars. Some chemtrail references are among the comments, but in general, people are talking about the sky looking very different now.
Then when?
What they have set up on this website is there's this thing where people will tend to agree with each other. If you have just a fault, like you're remembering something incorrectly, okay, and you tell someone of this, they have the same wrong memory or similarly wrong memory, they'll just agree with you. So and it's true, people just tend to flock to one direction or another with each other.
If it sounds good enough, they're going for it.
Exactly. So what this website has put up is an anonymous board. People will post their memories, but nobody can read them other than the woman who owns the board.
Right.
Okay? These are things that she's gotten multiple reports of. People can't read each other. They can't agree. She also doesn't want to hold boards of people going, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too.
Yeah.
So she purposely eliminated that. You submit anonymously what you remember. And once you hit a point where there's a lot of people saying the same thing, she starts posting, these are the memories that people are having. So multiple people have submitted the memory of the sky looking different than it did years ago.
And that I can agree with the sky looking different now than it did years ago.
Well, but you're talking millennia.
Well, not even. Well, no. Yes, millennia, absolutely. And if you're looking from an astronomical point of view, with the stars being
we're
different,
in a different place in the universe, so stars could be different. But
right.
I don't think
And
anybody's
not even
been
there.
alive long enough to really notice that difference.
No. I mean, to notice one star being out of place because that burned out is just really very. That's talent.
Well, they're talking different placement of the sun, the moon, and some stars. The sun
is where the sun is. It's stationary. Okay.
Different brilliance of the stars, different colors, including the color of the sun being different. People remember the sun being a different color.
Yes, and you know what? That is explainable.
Okay.
That is explainable because of air pollution. That is explainable because of the position that you are compared to where somebody else is. Okay, what could be blocking
That's true
it?
because you go somewhere else and the moon is a whole lot bigger.
You just from
I see it in movies. You see movies. You see where they shoot movies in like Central America and shit, and that moon is fucking humongous,
bright and huge. And I've seen that moon very close, or it seems closer. It's basically just where the position that the Earth is. But I mean, just from a city point of view, here we are in New York. You look up in the sky in a couple of hours when the night sky is up, and you look up and you're like, oh look, a star. We will say it, a star. We will see a star here. We take a drive 2.5 hours upstate, and we will see
thousands.
Brilliance. We will see a brilliant sky of stars that we can't see, and we can't see that because of the air pollution. We can't see that because of all the ambient light that we have in the city. Absolutely. We have all of these lights on. We have street lights, car lights. The city never shuts off. There's always power going on, and the light from the city, the streets, will block the light that is going on. So I can say that, yes, the sky will look different here than compared to California, where they have a massive amount of air pollution. And they're known for their air pollution, and they've been working on that. But still, yes, I can believe that the sky will look different from one person to another simply because of that. That I can definitely buy. Otherwise, I mean, the memory just is going to see something different. When I was 5, the world looked so much different than it did now. It's always going to look different to you when you're 5.
Tiananmen Square. Protest kid.
The protest kid, yeah.
What happened there?
Stood in front of the tanks. Tank did not run him over. It stopped. Beyond that, powerful imagery.
Popular topic, and opinions seem to split as to whether the kid was run over or not. Many people remember the kid actually being run over by the tanks.
No, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that at all. I remember him standing
stopping
there,
and with the
and they tried to go around him, and he moved.
He moved, and that was the end of it.
That was the end of it.
If they ever ran him over, that was not televised.
Here's one. Also, don't recall this at all, but Timothy Leary, former Harvard professor and LSD enthusiast, or serial killer as well. Was Timothy Leary a serial killer?
No.
Nope. Don't recall that.
I don't recall Timothy Leary.
He was a LSD champion.
Yeah, but serial killer?
Nope.
I would not imagine somebody on LSD would be able to kill with that kind of style. Killer? Maybe. Serial killer? Nah. That takes too much dedication.
Will Smith and Jada Pinkett.
They're married.
Okay, so do I believe that? Some believe divorced her 10 years ago.
The older it seems that it is in history, the more confusion you'll have. The farther... We don't know. I mean, right now I'm remembering Martin Luther King getting killed differently than in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying I'm...
and I've never heard of Malcolm X getting fucking
I definitely
pummeled.
never heard Malcolm X getting shot by 3 different motherfuckers, one of them with a sword off. How do you?
And then one said 15 times, the other one said 20
something times. That's crazy. Okay?
Never heard of that. Maybe it's quite possible. I mean, I never really watched that whole. I never watched the whole movie.
I'm not the biggest Spike Lee fan.
But I'm going to assume that's how the movie ended.
It should have ended that way because that would have been a hell of an ending. That's like
him
Scarface
just bang,
shit.
bang, bang. I know that
That's
is. You're my little
Scarface.
friend over here.
You
motherfuckers come for me. Yeah. But again,
Malcolm X was gangster, motherfuckers. He was gangster. No, but I just don't remember that kind of thing. But then again, that's graphic.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking graphic, and we don't want to remember graphic shit like that in our history. We don't want to think about how fucked up we are and remind ourselves of how fucked up we are. So we lie to ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Or we misremember. I mean, I saw it when my father was in his later years. He would remember stuff. I'm like, no, Dad, that's not how it happened. But the older he got and the closer he got to his end, he was like, no. It was happier. It was happier. It was, trust me. You know, that's the way it played. And we do that to ourselves all the time. We don't want... Martin Luther King was a great man that did great things.
Yeah.
We don't want to think about how he died in the specifics. He was assassinated. This was a good thing in a certain sense because it brought more awareness to his cause. Okay. John Lennon was also a great spokesperson, although a great musician, was also about peace and love and everything like that. And nobody wanted to fucking hear that. There were a group of people that just didn't want to hear it. Yeah. So, we remember the good parts, and we sort of have that askew memory of the end. So some of this that we're getting into is like, all right, we don't remember the end. Like Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Jim Henson was the greatest. We love Jim Henson. We don't want to think to ourselves, wait a minute, you're telling me the motherfucker could have taken some aspirin and he'd be with us still?
Yep.
He would have been given us. We don't want to
think that he died of something so
simple as strep throat or whatever it was.
Strep infection.
Yeah, strep infection. You don't want to think, wait a minute, he could have taken some friggin' medicine that I take all the time. He could have had some fucking herbal tea. He could still be alive now. He could have had herbal tea. He would have been fine. Yeah. But no, because he had this certain mentality, we don't want to believe it. It had to have been cancer. It had to have been something worse. It had to have been something that was untreatable. Okay? We don't want to believe the truth sometimes. And it's frightening because the truth is sort of what we have to learn from. We don't learn anything from the lie. We don't learn anything from misremembering something. We only learn it from what actually happened. The truth is the truth will set you free. Yeah. Okay, so if you don't know what the truth is...
The truth is, it was spelled with an E my entire life. The Berenstain Bears.
It was Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears. Frankenstein.
Berenstain Bears. Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain, yeah.
They were Jewish.
Yeah, they were Jewish bears.
Bears were Jewish.
I'm telling you, the bears were Jewish. And I didn't think anything of it when I was a fucking kid.
Nope.
They were always Jewish bears. And honestly, they were just bears. I didn't even think of them as Jewish. Yeah, they were just
the
bears.
Berenstain
They were
Bears.
Berenstain Bears. Yep. They were not the Berenstain Bears.
And I remember it very clearly.
That's it.
Berenstain Bears. And as I said, I remember always... Shirley Temple died when she was young. Always remember that. Nelson Mandela died in prison. And it was Interview with a Vampire.
It was Interview with a Vampire. It was Interview with a Vampire. It was not the vampire. It was a vampire.
And it's even funny because I watched it. I happened to watch it recently. It was on Netflix. I was one of those. I've seen this 100 times.
Yeah, throw it on. Yeah.
Some background noise. And I noticed the opening title cards. Well, the opening title cards can be changed. It's true. They can change those.
They do that. Yeah.
They do that all the time. George Lucas. Because it's true. When Star Wars, when the original Star Wars came out, it was just A New Hope, not Episode 4. A New Hope.
4.
Just A New Hope.
No,
because there was no Episode 5.
There was no Episode 5 or 6. It was just nothing. It was just
A New
one.
Hope. Exactly.
And we still don't know. He doesn't know his Roman numerals. What happened 1, 2, and 3?
Here's what I found interesting. It was said Interview with the Vampire on there. And underneath it said The Vampire Chronicles. Now, that is the name of the book.
That is the name of the book.
I know that. I know that. But the movie title card, I don't ever remember it saying The Vampire Chronicles in subtext underneath it.
No.
Now, again, that could be something that they just recently changed. But why would they change it if they never made the extra movies? They did Queen of the Damned, but that's still just Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned.
That's not Queen of the Damned, The Vampire Chronicles. They haven't changed that.
That's correct.
Why would they change Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, if there's no more Vampire Chronicles to add to the saga?
There are no chronicles. There's just the one
Why would
film.
they suddenly change it? Which is another thing you could say, well, if we always remember a vampire and the vampire, maybe it was Interview with the Vampire Chronicles all the time. And we just don't remember it that way. Maybe our timeline was different. It was a vampire. It was a. There was an A. A vampire.
It was a vampire.
Interview with
it was
a
one,
vampire.
One guy.
That's going to be about it for us this week.
Are you totally head fucked now? You
No,
should be.
I'm me. I've been
I'm
through
talking
this
to the
already.
audience right now. I'm breaking
Oh.
the fourth wall. Are you totally head fucked now? Because you should be.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if we accomplished anything besides mind fucking with everybody. No, but this has been an interesting concept that you can go on with forever.
Yeah.
There's so many pieces of history, so many pieces of fiction that you could play with, and people have played with it over the years. Mm-hmm. You know, if you go left instead of right, what would happen? And that's basically what this whole concept really comes down to, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
You know, you just do a little tweaking here or there, and you have a completely different history. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating.
It is.
It's fascinating.
It is. I think this is one of the most interesting things ever. On episode 1 of the show, we did alternate timelines, and it actually baffles me how I didn't even think of this one while we were doing it. I'm glad I did, because we have. I knew we could do an entire 2 hours on this show alone, on this subject alone, because it's so fascinating.
Well, because it's so fascinating, because you can play with it so much, because there's so many different ways that you could do this minute and big. And then what I want to ask myself is okay, if Nelson Mandela did die in prison, let's say as we started with the Mandela type box, what effects would that have had on Africa as a country, as a continent? Excuse me, as a continent, what kind of effects would that have had on it? Okay, without him being who he was.
Yeah.
Okay, and the world would be a different place.
Yep. It would be.
And he did die. And I remember that now, because all of a sudden we were talking about it, because again, you remember the good, you don't remember the end. And now I'm remembering the end as as all of a sudden we're at
Very
the
recently.
end. And very recently.
I remember that too.
Because Obama went to his funeral.
Yes, I remember
and all of a
that
sudden it's coming
recently
back
too.
to me. And it's one
But
of
I
those,
also remember when I was young that he died in prison. That's just a story I've known
just
my whole
what
life.
you remember it. But again, if he did die in prison, from my memory, what would have the effects in the long term have been?
Well, I couldn't answer that.
That's the part.
It would probably be devastating.
It would. Yeah, that's the part that's fascinating to me. But again, it's the same thing. What if somebody went back and killed Hitler? What if somebody
We possibly wouldn't have nuclear power. We may not have ever gone to the moon.
and we would not have a middle class? Not that we have one anymore. But again, same thing with 9/11. If that didn't happen, what would have happened?
I don't think anything good has come out of.
Nothing as good has come out from 9/11.
So if we didn't have 9/11, I think the world would be a much better place.
But again, history will tell.
Yeah.
History will tell.
So for us here at Channel X, we bid you a
Channel X.
we bid you a farewell, and I hope everything you remember is as you remember it.
That'd be good. Check your history books, folks.
If you want more information on this subject, go check out MandelaEffect.com, and you'll see everything we discussed, as well as some more if you have yourself some
Or will you?
information. If you
Or
have yourself
will
a
you?
memory that you remember, there is one posting on there of this kid who specifically remembers when he was young, the green light was on top and the red light was on the bottom.
Or he could just be retarded. Dyslexic or something. You
Just
never know.
saying.
I'm just
Just saying.
Just throwing that out there. He could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting theories on there. There's also a bunch of theories as to what people believe the purpose of it is, how it happens, why it's happening, and why it's going to continue to happen, how it hasn't happened in the past, or has it. Check it out, MandelaEffect.com. We will lead you out today with this appropriately titled track from Without You, I'm Hunting Them, called This Place Seems Familiar, off the Accents of the Rarest Culture album. You can find this track and more at wekeepoddhours.bandcamp.com. Be sure to check out our new Facebook page, facebook.com/whatlurks on Channel X. And please subscribe to the podcast and give us a like and a rating on whatever service you're listening to us on. Those likes and subscriptions really help us out and tell the sites that people like us and that you want to hear more. And that'll bring us up on their ratings, so hopefully others can find us. Thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you next time on What Lurks on Channel X.